I'm Frank Bennick, and chairman of the Paley Center. We head into the spring 2015 Newfront and Upfront at a transformative time for the television and advertising industries. When wasn't that ever so? Brands are about to decide where to invest and how to allocate their ad budgets. As the debate about return on television advertising investment continues, and the number of hours spent on time-shifted and nonlinear viewing, and all of these things that are increasing, chief marketing officers have much to consider. To help us understand the landscape through the eyes of a brand whose use of media has proved to be enormously effective, we're pleased to welcome Diego Scotti, the Chief Marketing Officer of Verizon, in a conversation with Michael Roth, Paley trustee and Chairman and CEO of IPG. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How we
Good to
doing?
see you.
Welcome. Let me just thank everybody for attending. And I was emailing Dana last night back and forth, and I hope she has a sense of humor, because the last one I sent to her said, this never happens to me. I don't understand why it happened to you. But obviously, the other side of it is we have all the time to discuss this with Diego, and I can't think of a better individual for us to have this conversation. We're fortunate, actually, Diego, this is the first time you're actually in a public forum since you took on your new responsibility as responsible for the global brand of Verizon across all media channels, creative, social, digital. So you have all the answers.
Exactly. Well, actually, I'm sorry that Dana is not here today because we were relying on her
exactly.
To actually do all the work. So now you're stuck with us. So
that was actually the rest of my note.
Exactly.
But it's great to have you here. So what I'd like to do is you're new in your responsibility. You're 6 months, so you do have all the answers now. Can you give us a little bit of a perspective of what it's like at Verizon from a cultural point of view versus where you've been, and how you're approaching your challenges in your new role?
Totally. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and it's an honor to be here at the Paley Center. We had one of your members of the board, Tammy Irwin, the president of our File business, that is a close friend of yours. So I'm excited she's here today as well. So thanks, Tammy. And it's interesting because I don't come from the telecommunications industry, and I think that's by design. I think our CEO, when he was looking to fill this role that is a relatively new role at Verizon, was looking at the future in terms of the new challenges in our industry, and trying to understand the only way for us to be able to continue to compete effectively and lead is to look outside of our category. And that is easy to say, difficult to do. A lot of companies sometimes say, well, let's just bring somebody that brings a totally fresh perspective. But I think what is interesting in this category, and it's been for me, is the parallels with so many other industries, out there. I spent 15 years of my career at American Express, which was tremendously fun because in that business is all about the relationship with the customer, and that's the way Amex approached it. Very similar to our business, right? You can approach it as a transaction, or you can approach it as a relationship. And if you even think about the other part of my career that is more on the fashion and retail business, that is also a relationship business, a very emotional business, in that you need to create that emotional connection, sure, with the customer. And so I see technology and telecommunications and everything that we're doing at Verizon not very dissimilar to that. We need to create a very strong emotional connection, and we need to create a relationship.
It's interesting. You're in this space right now, particularly with Verizon, that their own products cross all the different outlets that a CMO is responsible for navigating through, right? So the issue of digital versus TV, within your own business line, you have an approach to those particular outlets. So how do you view this issue of digital versus TV? Magna forecast that in 17 we're going to cross the line between the allocation of dollars to digital versus video. So you're right, both from your branding responsibility and from your business perspective, you're right at that juncture. So it would be interesting to see how you view that.
Totally. I mean, we're a big, traditional, strong supporter of television advertising, and we'll continue to be, because we don't see it as an either or, like a lot of people say. Some people, I talk to some CMOs that say, we're making this transition to go, 100% digital because that's what people are, or it's cheaper, or it's free, right? We're trying, which is also my view, is you need to take a holistic approach to that connection with the customer, and that requires that television, digital, and all of the other channels are working and firing in eight cylinders. So we definitely made a transition into digital in the last few years, and in particular in the last year, with heavier investment that complements the investments that we have on TV and other channels, but it's not an either or. It's definitely not an either or.
Well, certainly the accountability part of what you do lends itself to measurement, right? And making sure that the work that's being done, we're all accountable for. So the argument goes, certainly digital tends to be a little more accountable because you can see more visibility into its performance. But now we're seeing new things on TV measurement as well.
Yep.
So the question is, when you're looking at producing content, which I love, everybody, the buzzword for this days and age is content, right? When you're looking at content as to whether it goes digital, whether it goes TV, how do you view the creation of that content, and how do you deal with that content being specifically allocated to whether it's digital or TV?
Well, I would say a few things. We're trying to take an approach that is not create something that then we just show in as many channels as possible.
Exactly,
because
right.
I think we see higher degrees of engagement when we create channel-specific, communications. Right. Now, that puts tremendous amount of pressure on the creative side of our business and our agency partners, because it's more work that it needs to be created, as opposed to let's just create a 30-second spot that will run everywhere. Right. Now, the transition that we started to make at Verizon is that we start with the customer and the idea, right? We need to have a very strong concept from a content standpoint that then we can execute across different channels in many different ways. We don't believe in the matching luggage. We don't believe in the matching luggage. And I think what we are trying to start doing is that we also don't care where the ideas come from. So we're starting to work in many new different ways with our agency partners, in trying to create an ecosystem of creative talent that cuts across disciplines, that is not dogmatic in terms of saying, we need to have our agencies that belong to one group, or they're all independent. It's like, no, we're trying to create the right ecosystem, and then working with creative talent that doesn't belong to any agency. Right. And I don't mean by that just freelance creatives, but what are the artists, creators out there that can help us create this content. That is a very different model, because I think in generally companies this size are used to work on a room that has 4 walls, and all of a sudden when you take the walls and off and you need to trust that the creative process is going to work, it's a little bit unsettling. I also, to your point about measurement, I mean, we are in a business that still television has a tremendous power, because it is the only way to get scale fast, right? That is a fact. For us, work. Every time that we do something that uses television in that way, we see the business results, right away. And also from a storytelling standpoint, I think television has a lot to do with the way we create that engagement.
No, I happen to agree, but you actually said something that's kind of music to my ears, and that is this whole issue of what we call open architecture, and that is bringing in all the disciplines together without the silo part of it. So here you are, you're responsible for herding all these cats. How do you do that?
Well, that's the part of my job that I love the most.
Okay.
Is the most challenging, but also is the most fun. I think for me starts with putting the right cast together. And I tell you, I've been now at Verizon for 6 months, and we're having lots of conversations with different agencies and creative talent to put that cast together. Yeah. And something that to me is fundamental, I say to my team every day, well, the cast doesn't need to be the same for every initiative on everything that we do. We need to curate that cast to make sure that it delivers on what we're expecting from a product message or a content priority. So picking the right talent is critical. Second is putting the right process for that creativity to come out. I think sometimes when companies put too much process into place, so then you end up with ideas that are manufactured in a way. So we're trying to divide and manage the tension between the driving the business today and what needs to happen in order to make sure that happens, as well as keeping an eye in the future in terms of how to create those big ideas to drive the brand forward.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're actually the first CMO from a global perspective at Verizon. Is that not true?
Yeah. Well, this role, one of the leaders in our business, John Stratton,
Right.
he runs the business. He held this similar job
Right.
a few years ago. But our business has changed significantly. And the company is going through a process of I would say simplifying our business with the customer at the center. So John now runs all of our businesses across wireless, wireline, Fios, and enterprise. Marnie Walden, she runs all of our new product initiatives and innovation. And then in my case, I support both businesses from a marketing standpoint. It's a very interesting time in the company because there's so much going on. There's so much innovation going on. I'm sure you guys heard about the new Fios product that we launched. It actually we announced it last week, but we're launching actually today. It's a very exciting time because everything that we're doing is now putting the customer at the center. So if it's a new product, if it's a new message, if it's a new piece of content, it's starting with the customer. So the effort of the company to do that, it's enormous, and it's interesting. I mean, and that's the experience that Tammy and I just went together on this. When you're talking about the customer, nothing else really matters. Right. So if you think about it like that, the barriers around roles, responsibilities, what functional expertise people bring to the table, they're all focused on the customer, and that is something that, again, coming from the outside, I think is a tremendous strength of this company.
The two concepts that you're referring to, one is innovation, which obviously Verizon is known for that, and obviously it's a tremendous opportunity in this environment, and culture, all right? And so the real challenge, and what I hear speaking to a lot of our clients, is how do you drive that culture in an organization that is so big and historically had their silos, right? And sort of driving it from the center, and reaching all the different product lines. I assume that's an art, okay? And how do you approach that when you come into a new organization that has those type of issues?
Well, I tell you, the only way that I know how to do it is with total transparency. That's one of the things that I've been talking since I got to the company, which is there needs to be total openness and trust that we are on this together. Obviously, there is at the beginning in any new endeavor, some people that are more cautious about what's going to happen. But I think this notion of transparency and openness all of a sudden breaks all the barriers, because the notion of, listen, we're on this together. There's no secrets, and we need to drive the business. That's what we're doing here. Right. It's key. Now, I think what has been interesting to me is to help the organization understand that there are no either ors on what we do. So it's not like either we drive the business right? And we don't create an emotional connection with the customer, or that we drive a lot of clicks, but we don't create engagement online, or that it drives the business, but it needs to look ugly. They're not either or. I mean, the companies that are doing this really well, and we do it in a lot of aspects of our business, are really reconciling those either ors. And this, I wanted to actually, we're launching this Fios, custom TV today, and I want to show you the TV spot that we're launching today. Actually, I think you're one of the first ones to see it, because I think this is a great example of innovation. To your point, this company has been innovating for the last, for the first 15 years of its history. And this is another example in which, by putting the customer at the center, we said we're going to do the right thing for the customer. From a storytelling standpoint, we really went through a very diligent process of understanding how our customers are consuming television today. What do they want to watch? What do they want to pay for? And that's what this product came up. So can we roll the video? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
Great.
Let's say this is your TV, and these are the channels you pay for with cable. But these are the types of channels you actually want to watch. What if you could pay for what you want and not for what you don't? So you could get kids channels, sports, or entertainment. Mix and match or get them all. Now, Fios brings you a totally new way to customize your TV, starting at $74.99, including internet and phone. Cable just gives you channels. Fios gives you choice.
So the importance of the storytelling here is interesting, because it starts, as I said, it starts with the customer and what the customer wants. And what we're seeing on the initial rollout of the product is great response, because all of a sudden, when you start talking about me as a customer and what I want, as opposed to what everybody wants to sell me, it changes the conversation.
It's a great piece. I'm a little biased.
No pun intended.
Right. But no, it is. And what's interesting about it is also the who your market is and who you're driving towards. I mean, we all know that we're all chasing the millennials, whoever they may be. Okay, and we all know that they want everything, when they want it, how they want it, and specifically they want choices. So this type of product gives them the freedom to make those kind of choices. So the real issue ultimately is going to be this issue of cutting the cord, if you will, pardon the expression. This is one way, it seems to me, of capturing that audience to say, you know what, you don't have to do that. We still can provide the customization, if you will, and the products that you're looking for without having. Plus, we get the quality of the product. You get all the other services that you have. I'm a happy customer, of course. All of that. So I assume all of that thinking goes into something like this.
Totally, and I think the approach that I think we're taking is there's really, everything's changing so fast, and the demands of the customer, especially the millennials, to your point, are evolving so fast that I think thinking about that anything is going to be a silver bullet that is going to solve the needs of every customer under the sun is something that is old thinking. So the way Verizon is thinking is we need to create solutions and options for our customers that deliver on the needs of different types of customers. If you want to have your TV, your super fast internet, and your phone in one package that is going to be delivered with quality and choice, great, that works for you. If you want to have an option that maybe delivers video, over the top for you because that's the way you want to watch, then maybe we can do that too. Right. I think the question is how a company like us delivers solutions that fit the needs of different customers, and we're all not created equal. I think this reminds me a lot to in 2008 when I moved from American Express to Condé Nast. It was the year, remember that year? Like everything kind of like, the world was going to end.
Right. I remember.
And in that year, I remember the conversations were like, magazines are going to die.
Right.
That was the conversation. That's it. This is it. The end.
Right.
And magazines are still, thriving because there are a lot of people that still want to smell the ink. that want to have that experience. So I think that is a much more healthier way of looking at the business versus trying to create that, any options that are that maybe they have a lot of hype, but they're not really delivering on the longer term needs of the customer.
It brings to the forefront the issue of relevancy, both with respect to the messaging, right? You want to make sure the message is relevant to your consumer, but more importantly, the product. I mean, the product has to be responsive to what the consumer, I love the idea of the consumer-centric company because, let's face it, that's what we're all going after. So let's talk about content, and everyone's chasing content, right? How do you approach that from your perspective? Because you're ultimately going to be responsible for how this content reaches the consumer. So are there particular things you look for in terms of content that in this environment works better or is more meaningful or has a better response rate? How do you look at that?
Well, I think that the first thing that I would say is that what's the definition of content? Because I think most people, when you talk about content, we think about a certain piece of creative messaging that you develop. But in the way we think about content is that content could be an experience that you develop. Right. Content can be a service that we offer our customers. So we're thinking about content in a much more broader sense as it relates to that customer centricity and the relationship with the customer. So for example, a good example is what we're doing in our stores. Right. I want to show you some of that because when we started thinking about our stores as a piece of content to create a relationship and hence to drive sales, what we do within the stores completely changed. And it's a very interesting example, and this is something that even precedes my time, but I think it's very, very strong thinking, which is we not only need to create an experience, but we need to integrate other channels within the way the store experience works. And video, to the point about how TV and video and then content connects with the store, completely transform our store experience. The other two pieces that I would mention as in the way we're thinking about content are this. We want the best creative minds in the world working for Verizon to develop content, no matter where those minds are. Agencies, as I say, creators, artists, whatever they come from, we want that. Media, I firmly believe that media today are terrific. I position incredibly well to help clients like us to create content. And I'm not talking about just can you do this little program that then we can call sponsor content and I use it to tell the story of the brand. No, I'm talking about really come up with interesting, compelling ideas that can propel the company. So not that I want to get more phone calls from anybody, but because I already get a lot. But I think we're interested on taking the quality of the content that we create to the next level, and for that we need all the help that we can get, no matter where it comes from. And the other piece is when we talk about, and this I think it goes back to to digital specifically. I don't know if you have this experience, but when you are in your Instagram account, in your Facebook account, and you can see your feed, how many of the things that you really see in there add any value to your day? Not a lot, not a lot. Maybe there's a photo of some cat, with doing some funny thing, and we all love cats. I don't have anything against cats. But to me, I think what we all need to raise the bar is to develop and to put content out there that adds value to the conversation. I said to my team internally, if we are not going to add value to that conversation, maybe we shouldn't say anything. I think that really raises the bar around how we think about content and how we think about experiences.
I think experiential marketing is overlooked a lot. Okay, and I think the approach to your store is right on. If you go back to the auto industry, the main objective is to get someone behind the wheel and drive that car. Because once you drive that car, the likelihood of you buying it is increased dramatically. You get someone into a store and they have that kind of experience, and they get to feel the products and they get to see the products working, they're gonna play.
Totally.
And
then the experience on the product itself. I think, when you think about Fios, or when you think about our wireless products, for example, if you think intuitively, and we don't, we can always do this better, but the way we're thinking is that the experience needs to start there. Right. So whatever you want to do with Fios, for example, in terms of your upgrades, in terms of movies that you want to watch, in terms of services that you're going to get, you should be able to do it on either on your TV or have an app in your device that can easily do that. I mean, with Fios now you can even have the whole experience of watching with an app that can allow you to do everything. With wireless, it's the same thing. We are thinking, what would happen to our service experience if the service experience would start with in your phone, right. And from there go to all these other places. That's content too, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the new frontier is wireless, right? And everyone is trying to figure out how to crack the code on mobile. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone's really cracked it yet. But any particular insights in terms of that? Because I do believe, if you go around on a worldwide basis, that's how people are communicating. More people are using mobile devices to access the internet than computers, right? So therefore, the place you hold in terms of that marketplace is a step up, And so how do we capture that in this environment?
Well, I start from a place that whatever you're saying is not as interesting as what you're interrupting. Okay. from a consumer right, standpoint.
Right.
So I think we need to start with that. And then in mobile, because the attention span and what people are doing is so small and so short, is that we need to think about how are we going to add value to that interaction. So then what we're interrupting doesn't
sure.
become a problem for the consumer. So I think what we're thinking is, and again, the way we're trying to think about Verizon. If you think about it, we have 100 million customers all over the country, right? That is a lot of people that are part of the network, Verizon, right? And the way we're thinking is that, well, that's a tremendous platform. It's not only that they get a service from Verizon, but they're part of a platform that they could get so much more from it in the way of additional services, extra. And this is very similar to it reminds me a lot to my Amex days, sure. Because it is about creating that value service, value-added services mentality in terms of what do we bring to that relationship. But imagine if you start thinking about Verizon as a platform, and all of a sudden, for example, every week you get the best 10 new songs sure. that artists allow Verizon to offer in this platform as a means of creating value through content and then promotion to them. Well, that's a way of leveraging this platform that creates value for everybody. That's a very simple example, but imagine if we could do more than that. That creates value for our customers, it creates value for Verizon, and it creates value for artists, creators, publishers, etc. in terms of what they want, in terms of the relationship with the customer. You're probably going to see us more and more thinking about ideas like that because we think that that's the next frontier.
No, I agree. Well, I've sort of been capturing all your time here. Why don't we move to Q&As? And I ask, we have some microphones out here, so I ask you to identify yourself and who you're with. And
how do you manage the sort of numbers and data-driven world that we live in with the creativity, both from a team perspective, but also just day to day?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it goes back to it's not either or. I think anything that is extremes is not good because we need both. So the way we approach it is, Verizon is a company that's tremendously results driven. Numbers, metrics, performance is critical. So we do that very, very, very well, you know. And but we also want to connect that with creativity and that connection with the customer. The way, and we're working through this transition, is that we need talent that are the best at not one person being the best at both, but we need the best talent on these both areas and then connect them, you know, together. So within marketing, I think we're now, like, I think very fortunate to have a structure, created a structure that connects, you know, these two elements. You can always do it better, you know. I'm always, you know, trying to raise the batting average on both. But I think the other thing that to me is interesting is the more creative we get, the better the numbers look. The more insight we get from our numbers and clarity around how things are performing, the best we can improve our creative. And this is a process, because sometimes, you know, analytical people don't speak the language of creativity, and creative people don't speak the language of the analytics. But to me, that tension needs to be created. I mean, we need to bring those people together, because even if it's painful for both of them, because that's where I think the value for the company, you know, comes. And at the end of the day, we're all here to drive the business, right? The question is in which, what are the ingredients that we bring to the picture in order to do that? Does that make sense?
Hi, yes, Barry Fry from the Digital Place-Based Ad Association. Diego, you should be applauded on your skinny bundle. It's great. I mean, really, to the customers, you're addressing it.
Tommy should be applauded.
Sorry?
Tommy should be applauded.
Tommy, well done, Tommy.
Yeah, there she is.
There you are. Great, well done. It's certainly
you.
Innovative, and Mike, on the commercials, great work from your agency as well. So kind of two questions. The first one is, it's an innovative, paradigm-shifting move. Do you believe that the other distributors, operators, telephony companies will follow, when and how? And then kind of a shift to the other, you know, there's a lot of questions today about viewability on digital advertising. In order for a commercial to register as an impression on the web, only half of the video player needs to be above the fold for only 2 seconds. Are you concerned about those viewability issues, and do you think there's some solutions to that? So it's kind of two questions. Thank you.
Totally. Well, the first answer is I don't like to comment on what others do. Because we have plenty to worry about what we're doing, and again, our focus is on the customer, you know. So we'll continue on that track. The second piece, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of talk in the industry that is not very productive, related to your second point, you know. I think we need to get better at measurability. I think we need to get better at registering the performance of the creative. But I find that sometimes a little bit of an unproductive conversation, because it's not putting the focus on what is really important, which is the creative that is going to drive that engagement with the customer. You know, to me, the only way of raising the bar around what we do from a marketing standpoint to engage the consumer is if you make that creative more engaging, more compelling, more culturally relevant, and all of these things that we're talking about. The rest is important. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it should be the focus of our conversation, because I think it pulls it raises the accountability, which is a good thing, but maybe it lowers the bar around what we, you know, marketers need to really deliver, which is that engaging piece of content. Does that make sense?
Hi, Doug Mitchelson from UBS. So along those lines, but focusing a little bit on the money, I would say for television, which you said was still quite powerful, you take a holistic view overall, what are they doing that's sort of improving their position in, you know, in your sort of portfolio of spending, and what is going the other way? What are the tensions, the pull? And then the same thing for digital. So we're trying to figure out, based on your comments, how money might shift over time. And is TV keeping up with digital in your budget, or is it falling behind, and why?
Can you repeat the first part of your question? Are you talking about marketing investment, or are you talking what
I'm talking about marketing investment, both against your desire to engage the customer, but also what you see as return on that investment. Is money shifting from TV to digital, and why? And is TV improving its position by doing new things?
Totally. I think the conversation to me is a broader conversation. I think we're very. And maybe that's because the headline of the meeting, TV and digital,
right.
We're shifting money all over the place, all the time, because the touch points to engage consumers now are more complex than they used to be. So Experiential is a good example because we're investing a lot on Experiential too. We're investing a lot on our own properties. I mean, for example, the NFL app, in which you get a lot of value by being a Verizon customer, is a tremendous way of communicating with millions and millions of customers, because now it becomes a new channel. So there's no doubt that this is what's happening. Television has still a really important role in our portfolio because, again, it drives scale, and it drives the scale very fast. Our business moves really fast, so we need that. It's also very important for storytelling. Now, having said that, we're also shifting money to other areas. Digital has been an area that we've shifted a lot of money, and also because we are considering video, right? Video as a piece of content in a broader sense. Video is on TV, video is on digital. So we have a video strategy as opposed to a TV and a digital strategy, right? And then to me, this is one of the most exciting times in marketing because we have so much ability to touch the customer in so many different ways. And we put in a lot of money on testing, because a lot of things that if we're going to go there, we need to test our way into in terms of new channels. And not everything works, so we're constantly optimizing our budget to deliver not only the most return, but also the most return on learning, which is ultimately very important as well. Did I answer your question, or
I think you did.
do you want to follow up with?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Let me just add, because digital was such a smaller piece of the pie, all we hear is that there's a 30% increase in digital spend. It still has a ways to go before it reaches what we're spending on TV, and so TV is still, as Diego says, a very important part of the environment. It's just that digital now has been catching up. But I think appropriately, you have to look at all outlets and see how it fits with your strategy.
And digital is a very substantial part of our budget today, a very substantial part, so.
Okay, compliments. I'm just wondering, on your new flexible package,
Mm-hmm.
are you offering that nationwide, or on the new flexible package, are you offering it nationwide, or are you offering it in specific markets to see what you learn from those markets?
But wherever Fios is available.
Oh, wherever it is available, so you're
exactly.
making it across the board.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Exactly. And again, I think we will learn a lot with this. We did a lot of work to understand again what consumers wanted, their viewing patterns, what kind of content they care about the most, and we're going to learn a lot with the actual behavior.
So what I'm wondering, of course, is looking at the business model for it, and for people that a certain portion will opt to take a lighter package or a different combination of channels, as you show in your ad, which is very good, by the way.
Thank you.
Thought people would be very interested in it. How are you looking at, sort of the reduction of payment on the lighter packages, and how to upsell other things that will be maybe in more direct interest to those consumers? Because actually consumers will pay for what they actually want, if you offer it to them in a way that they think is acceptable. So that's what I believe anyway. So I was just wondering how you're thinking about other options that can get added on to a package that is lighter to satisfy the customer, and what percentage do you think will convert? Do you have numbers like that? I'd be very interested.
Well, if I give any numbers,
Internal numbers, right? Okay.
Tommy's gonna kick me, So I'm not gonna give you any numbers. I'm not gonna give you any numbers. But I think the point goes back to how do you want to consume your content is up to you. The job that we need to do for you is to create those choices and present them in the simplest way possible. Do we do that every day, all the time? no, but we're trying to be much better at it. That's a big bar, a high bar that we have established for ourselves. And then there are multiple combinations that you can get across the board, not only with these packs, but also other added value, services that come with the package. So the focus is on how we present it to you, so you can make the choice. We can help you make that choice, and then you can also have the flexibility to change if that's what you want to do. To me, that simplicity and flexibility is critical. Now, you also need to walk we all need to walk a very thin line, which is too much choice is not good either. Consumers don't want so much choice either. They want you to help them make the right choices, and making sure that I think, to me, that's being consumer oriented. If that makes sense.
It'd be very interesting to see the year.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Diego, thanks very much for your insights this morning, for being here. I'm Steve Siegel from Freewheel, and as we move into the upfront season, I'd love to hear about your expectations and what you hope to see from the broadcast networks.
Better content,
Cheaper prices.
great ideas, and cheaper prices.
Good luck.
Good answer.
Just a quick question. How do you reconcile a consumer-centric strategy and FiOS, which I have and I love, thank you.
Thank you for the business.
I can record many programs at once and watch them without ads later, which is what consumers want, with TV being the best way to show ads to people at scale and wanting to buy those ads. I think you said it yourself, what we're interrupting them with is never as interesting as what we're interrupting. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how do you see that? As people want to watch content without ads, but we want to give people ads in content?
Well, I think to me, it's going back to how can we serve you commercial messages in a way that are going to be more integrated in the content and are going to be more interesting, to you. I think the question that we're asking ourselves, at some point, the 30-second commercial model is gonna have to change for all, because of all of these reasons that we're talking about. In some cases, it might be less time. In a lot of cases, it might be more time. I mean, we are experimenting a lot and thinking a lot about longer, formats. And I don't mean like product placement in longer formats, but really getting you engaged with a narrative and a storyline that maybe has, longer length, because it would be really interesting for you to watch, not that we're just going to force you, to watch. Listen, I think on this is I don't think like one size fits all. And to me, again, this sounds a lot like magazines are dead, like that comment. So I think the pressure is on us to keep testing and innovating with new formats that are going to be more conducive for you to want to watch our content.
Lee Cohen. You mentioned two things. One was the interdisciplinary approach to everything, which means lots of different inputs, lots of different maybe digital agencies, buying agencies, creative agencies. Yep. And then you're also mentioning velocity and the need to move quickly. So I was wondering from a management standpoint, how do you balance those two things? Because many of my colleagues in the marketing and strategy world feel that they're spending a lot of their time actually helping CMOs wrangle all the different suppliers and all the different needs.
Yeah,
and yes, try to be fast.
I don't sleep that much. That's how I do it. It's definitely a very interesting challenge for us. We are evolving to a format that we have people on the team that are in charge of what we call an integrated marketing, which is basically running that process. And I don't mean just the PMO office for marketing and communications, but it's how do you bring the best ideas from wherever they come from and manage that not always linear process with the integration into the business in terms of what needs to happen this week because it needs to drive the business this week. Separating that from either the creativity or the demand generation channels it's been really helpful because we have people now, their sole role in the organization is to create that integration and coordination across all the different channels. We're working our way through it because it's something very new in the organization. But I'm very encouraged by the early results that we're seeing, because it's very difficult, either if you're running the performance side of marketing or the creative side, to be at the center of trying to also making that work for the organization. Listen, the other part in my mind is that we all need to get comfortable with the notion that it's going to be a little bit chaotic, and that is the way it's gonna be. For me, the mission that I set up for myself and for my team, is that we need to orchestrate all of that in a way that we really instigate as much creativity as possible, but then translate it to our business partners to make sure that they get what they need from marketing. And I don't mean in an order-taken kind of way, but not only giving them what they want, but also what they need, which is a really important difference,
Rick Kernick,
Last question.
Frankfurt Kernick. The Federal Trade Commission is going after Dish and DirecTV over the disclaimers in the advertising. I noticed there was something written on the screen there in white letters against a white couch. Are you trying to make any effort to come up with a way in which the product can be promoted without the need for the disclaimers, or otherwise to deal with this problem that looks like it's about to explode?
Well, listen, we are in a very regulated industry, so disclaimers are difficult to avoid because they're part of the way the industry works. So I wish I could. Believe me, I ask this question every day on everything that we do. The approach that we're taking is, we want to be the company that sets the standard. There are going to be companies out there that they're going to cut your bill in half, but you might get half of the service or half of the network. There are going to be companies that are going to be very loud at what they say and throw at you a lot of things. We're trying to walk this very straight line that is about what is the right thing for the customer. We want to always tell the truth. We're never going to have anything in there that is trying to be deceiving in any way, because that's not the way we do business. But at the same time, we're going to tell it like it is. I think we have a tremendous product with Fios. We have a tremendous product with our wireless offering. We have a tremendous new products coming in the pipeline, and we're going to tell our story. We want customers to know. But we are the premium provider in the industry. We are a premium brand, and that's the direction that we're taking, with the customer at the center.
Well, okay. Please join me in thanking Diego.
Thank you so much. It's great. Thank you. Thank you.